Hello dear students, today let us learn the next chapter, chapter 6, flow of heat. In this chapter you are going to learn about transfer of heat or flow of heat, different methods of flow of heat. Let's see. First of all, there is an activity to show heat flows from a body at a higher temperature to one at a lower temperature. Take some hot water in a tumbler. Dip a metal spoon in this water for some time. After some time, you can when you touch the metal spoon, you feel uncomfortable. You cannot hold it more because it becomes hot. This shows that heat is transferred from the hot water in the tumbler to the spoon and then to your hand. Leave the tumbler with water in it for 10 to 15 minutes. Feel the water now. Has it cooled down? Why? Water has lost its heat to the surroundings. Because water has lost the heat to the surroundings. This shows that heat has been transferred from the water to the surroundings. What happened to the heat of the heat energy of the water? It is transferred to the surroundings. It is transferred to the surroundings. In both the above cases, heat flows from a body at a higher temperature to one at a lower temperature. Let us see how heat flows. From the above two activities, we can say that heat always flow from higher temperature, body at a higher temperature to a body at a lower temperature. If you want to pass a book to your friend, to understand the flow of heat, there is an activity, another activity. Suppose if you want to pass a book to your friend sitting a few desks away from you, you can do it in the following three ways. There are three methods to pass the book to your friend. First one is pass the book through other children sitting between you and your friend. You can pass the book to the other children, through the other children to your friend. Next one, go and hand over the book to your friend yourself. You can yourself go and hand over the book to your friend. Another technique is there, throw the book towards your friend. This is another last method, throw the book towards your friend. These are the three different ways to give the book to your friend. Similarly, heat can be transferred from one place to another in three different ways. They are conduction, convection and radiation. There are three methods in heat transfer also: conduction, convection and radiation. First one, conduction. Let's see what is conduction. To show the process of conduction, there is another activity given here. Take an iron rod about 25 cm long. Fix thumbtacks along the length of the rod using wax. Heat one end of the rod. What do you see? You can see the experimental setup below in the picture. There is iron rod which is fixed on a strand, and thumbtacks. You can see the pins. Metal pins are there. They are fixed on the metal rod, lower portion of the metal rod, by using wax. Then heat the iron rod at one end by using a candle. There is a candle at one end of the metal rod. Because of the candle flame, the iron rod gets heated, and after some time, wait for some time, after some time you can see that the thumbtacks started falling off. One by one they start falling off. As the rod gets heated, the wax melt and the thumbtacks fall off. After some time you can see that thumbtacks started falling off. You will find that the thumbtack nearest to the end being heated falls off first. The first one nearest thumbtack will fall down, then the next one, then the next one. Gradually all the thumbtacks started falling off, because heat travel from one end of the rod to the other end gradually. The above activity shows that heat is traveling along the length of the rod from the hot end to the cold end. From the hot end to the cold end, heat is traveling one by one. Means from molecule to molecule, heat is transferred from hot end to the cold end. This process is called conduction of heat. This method is called conduction of heat. Compare this method to the first method of passing the book to the other children between you and your friend. They are similar. Both techniques are similar. Conduction method. This method is called conduction of heat. Recall that the molecules of a substance starts vibrating faster as heat is applied to it. In the last chapter, we learned about the when we heat objects, when we heat substances, the molecules start moving fast. Vibration faster becomes faster, vibrating faster as heat is applied to it. When one end of the rod is heated, the molecules at that end start vibrating faster. They hit the nearby molecules, the end in one end of the rod. Molecules at the one end of the rod starts getting vibrating faster. Then these vibrations are passed to the next molecules. They hit the nearby molecules and make them vibrate. These molecules again hit the neighboring molecules. In this way, the vibrations and hence the heat get transferred from the hot end to the cold end. In the same way, in the way of passing the book, one child to the other child, then the next child book is passing. In the same way, one molecule starts vibrating faster, then this molecule hit the next molecule, then next molecule, and so on. This will continue so on from one end to the other end. This method is called conduction of heat. Compare this to passing the book from one child to another. You can see the similarity. Thus, conduction is the process of transfer of heat in which heat travels from molecule to molecule. Heat travels from molecule to molecule from the hot end towards the cold end. The molecules themselves do not travel from one end to the other. What is the definition of the conduction? Conduction is the process of transfer of heat. It's a process of transfer of heat in which heat travels from one molecule to other molecule, from the hot end towards the cold end. The molecules themselves do not travel from one end to the other. There is no movement of molecules from one end to the other. Only heat energy is transferred from one molecule to the other molecule, from the hot end to the cold end. This method is called conduction of heat. Heat is however transferred from one object to another if by conduction only if there are two conditions for conduction. There are two conditions, then only if both the conditions are there, then only conduction is possible. What are they? Let's see. The two objects are in contact and their temperatures are not the same. The conditions are the two objects are in contact. Both objects should be in contact and the temperatures are not same. One should be at high temperature and one should be at lower temperature. Then only conduction is possible. Now, conductors and insulators of heat. Next topic is conductors and insulators of heat. To find out the conductors and insulators, there is an activity given here. Take some hot water in a tumbler as in activity 1. In the activity 1, we do as same glass tumbler with hot water. Take a steel spoon, a glass rod, a plastic scale, a wooden stick and a piece of thick copper wire. Dip one end of each of these in hot water. Wait for 2 to 3 minutes. Then touch the other end of each article with your fingers. Which ones become hot and which ones do not. We can touch all these things and we can find out which one is hot and which one does not, which one is not hot. You can see that metal spoon is there, steel spoon is there, glass rod is there, plastic scale is there, wooden stick and piece of thick copper wire is there. And you can see that while touching you can feel that metal spoon and copper wire becomes hot and all other things do not become hot, because metal spoon and copper wire, steel spoon and copper wire both are metals, so they become hot. So we can say that they are conductors. Some materials are conductors of heat while some are insulators. Some can conduct heat through them and some cannot conduct heat through them. Materials which allow heat to be conducted through them easily are called good conductors of heat. In the above activity, we can say that metal spoon, that is steel spoon and copper wire, both are conductors of heat, and the other things, plastic scale, wooden stick and piece of glass rod, all these are insulators of heat because they do not allow heat to be conducted through them. Metals such as iron, copper, silver and aluminium are good conductors of heat. In fact, most metals are good conductors of heat. So best examples of conductors are metals. Glass allows a very little heat to flow through it. Glass also does not allow all heat energy to be conducted through it. Materials which do not allow heat to be conducted through them easily are called bad conductors of heat or insulators of heat. Those materials which do not allow heat to be conducted through them are called bad conductors or insulators of heat. Wood, plastic and glass are insulators of heat. Wood, plastic and glass are insulators of heat. So we can say that the wooden stick, glass rod and the plastic scale are insulators of heat from the above activity. So then activity 4, to show water is a bad conductor of heat. Water is a conductor or bad conductor of heat. Half fill a test tube with cold water. Wrap a piece of ice. What to do? First of half fill a test tube with cold water. Take a test tube and half fill a test tube with cold water. Wrap a piece of ice in wire gauze and drop it in the tube. It will sink to the bottom. Otherwise, it is wrapped in a wire gauze because it should be sink. Then only it will sink to the bottom. Otherwise, it will float. Ice tube is less denser than water. Ice cube is less denser than water, so it will float. To sink it, we are covered with the ice piece with a wire gauze and drop it in the tube, test tube. It will sink to the bottom. Now heat the top end of the test tube as in the picture. Just as in the picture, top end of the test tube, heat is given. The water soon begins to boil. You can see at the top water at the top level starts boiling, but the ice below is still not fully melted. But the sinking ice cube wrapped in wire gauze is not melted completely. You can see that top level test tube where the heat is given, at that level water starts boiling, but the ice cube does not melt completely. From this activity we can say that heat energy from the top is not transferred to the lower bottom part of the test tube. That's why the ice cube does not melt. This activity shows that water is a bad conductor of heat. It does not easily conduct heat from the top to the bottom of the test tube. From this activity we can say that water is a bad conductor of heat. If it is a conductor of heat, the heat energy gradually transferred to the bottom part of the water also, and the ice cube melt. But this does not happen. That means water is a bad conductor of heat. Most liquids are bad conductors of heat. Most of all the liquids are bad conductors of heat. Just like water, all other liquids are bad conductors of heat. A notable exception is mercury. Mercury is a liquid metal which is a good conductor. It is a good conductor. That's why it is used in thermometers, clinical and laboratory thermometers. They expand on heating. This property is used. So we can say that mercury is an exceptional case which is a conductor of heat. All gases including air are bad conductors of heat. Not only liquids, all gases including air, all types of gases including air are bad conductors of heat. So we can say that metals are conductors of heat. Liquids and gases are, almost all the liquids and gases are bad conductors of heat or insulators of heat. Exceptional case is the mercury. Then uses of good and bad conductors of heat. They are sometimes they are useful and sometimes they are unuseful. Let's see what are the uses and uses of good and bad conductors of heat. First one, we use good conductors of heat whenever we want heat to be transferred fast. If we want heat to be transferred fast, we can use conductors. For example, cooking utensils are made of metals such as brass or aluminum, which are good conductors of heat. Though silver and copper are the best conductors of heat, cooking utensils are not made of these metals as they are expensive. However, these days cooking utensils with copper bases are also are available. We can see that cooking utensils are made up of conductors of heat because they need to heat is to be transferred fast. Then only the cooking is possible. That's why metals like brass or aluminum which are good conductors of heat. They are used to make cooking utensils. But silver and copper are the best conductors of heat. Silver and copper are best conductors of heat, even though they are expensive. That's why they are not commonly used for making cooking utensils. However, these days cooking utensils with copper bases are available. Now, we use bad conductors of heat wherever we do not want heat to be transferred quickly, or the places where we do not want heat to be lost or to be lost or gained from the surroundings. Thus, handles of cooking utensils are made of bad conductors of heat, such as wood or plastic. But handles we have to hold the handles, so they are made up of bad conductors of heat. Otherwise, we can't hold the handles of the cooking utensils. They do not get heated up while cooking and can be held comfortably. So, handles of cooking utensils are made up of conductors, and the handles of cooking utensils are made up of bad conductors of heat. Then only we can hold them comfortably. Jute and sawdust are bad conductors of heat. Jute and sawdust are bad conductors of heat. We cover ice with a jute cloth or sawdust to prevent it from gaining heat from the surroundings and melting. If you want to store ice cubes without melting, we can use jute or sawdust over them. Covered ice cubes should be covered in jute or sawdust, so that heat energy does not transfer from the surroundings to the ice cube, and they prevent the melting of the ice cube. Refrigerators have double walls with the space inside filled with an insulating material. So in this same way, refrigerators there is no need of heat transfer from surroundings to the refrigerator. Inside this refrigerator, heat energy should not be entered into the refrigerator. So the double wall is the refrigerators have double walls with the space inside filled with an insulating material. Between the double wall there is a insulating material filled. This prevents heat of surroundings from reaching the inside of the refrigerator. In this way, we can prevent the heat energy to be entered into the refrigerator, so that inside the refrigerator the temperature becomes very low. In winter, you wear woolen clothes. If you compare them with cotton clothes, you will find that wool fibers have much more space between them. These get filled with air, which is a bad conductor of heat. Thus, wool, which is also an insulator, and air together prevent the heat from our bodies from escaping out. In winter, we wear woolen clothes because woolen clothes carry lot of air spaces between them. As air is a bad conductor of heat energy from your body do not escape to the surroundings, and the body become hot inside the woolen dress. That's why we wear woolen clothes in winter. Then during very cold winter night, two thinner blankets one on top of other are not more effective in keeping you warm than one blanket of double the thickness. This is because the layer of air trapped between the thinner blankets gives additional insulation and protection from cold. It is better you can use two thin blankets one over the other other than one thick blanket. one thick blanket. Instead of one thick blanket, you can use two thin blankets, one over the other, because the layer of air between the two blankets keep your body keep the temperature of your body safe. They do not allow the heat from your body to escape out, because air is there. Air is filled between the layers of the blanket. So this is some heat. Bad conductors are useful, and insulators are also conductors are useful, and bad conductors are also useful. There is another activity, collecting information. For you should know about that. How do Eskimos in Alaska camp in winter? Do they carry tents with them? They do not carry tents with them. They have you heard of an igloo? They use igloo to keep safe from the winter cold in the polar region. Eskimos live in igloos. Eskimos live in igloo. They inside the igloo they feel that means igloo igloo is a house made up of ice blocks. In between the ice blocks walls of the between the walls there is air space left between them. So this help the people inside the igloos. People inside the igloos are called Eskimos. They protect them from the harsh weather condition of the polar region. So Eskimos use igloos to live in houses made up of igloos. This is the reason. So you can learn more about igloos. Okay, so that's all in this chapter. Let us discuss the next next two types of transfer of heat in the next class. Okay, bye.